What's up guys, my name is the Below Average Gamer and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about Modern Warfare 3, the game that is absolutely obsessed with the spectacle. It all started with a rookie running a training course. From the quiet halls of FNG to full-scale World War 3, Modern Warfare built a legacy that had to go out with a bang. And Modern Warfare 3, it tries to be that bang, and then some. Today, we're wrapping our lips around the popsicle that is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, a game that's somehow louder, crazier, and at times even more emotional than what came before it. We're not just here for the spectacle, though trust me, there's plenty. We're unpacking everything. The moments that hit hard, the ones that miss completely, and why, after all these years, MW3 still feels like a chaotic, brilliant, beautiful mess. So let's get into it. The game picks up pretty much where we left off in MW2. Hours after the betrayal and death of General Shepard, Price and Nikolai scramble to save a critically wounded Soap as flashbacks of the previous game's key moments play out. Then we get this cringe-ass intro. Ooh, wow, cool, Modern Warfare 3 is World War 3, ooh. But screw that noise, the United States of hamburgers is still in trouble from the last game. The briefing screen shows that New York is in a particularly hot spot of bother, and they need a team to deploy to complete some generic objective to help them make ground against the Russians. And that team is Team Metal. Team Metal consists of Sandman, Truck, Grinch, and Frost. These boys, I love these boys. I'm a double cheeseburger sympathizer these days. They have such a good campaign in this game, similar to the Americans in MW2. So, that generic objective I was talking about is to take out a jammer tower that jams the American comms and guidance systems. We gotta blow it up. Yeehaw! MW3 sets the tone for the spectacle. Before you even open your damn eyes, your Humvee's been taken out by an RPG. This is Black Tuesday, and we're playing as Sergeant Westbrook, or Frost as we'll know him. As you climb out the Humvee, this skyscraper gets nailed by a missile, shedding debris everywhere. Quick pause for realism appreciating bag here. How did none of this debris land on us? Anyway, we hop out and Sandman chucks us a mag. We are strapped up and ready to take back New York. You'll notice they've dramatically changed the sound of the guns here. In my opinion, it sounds pretty weird. This M4 has this whole ass subwoofer vibe to it, and it seems a bit heavy, and I wasn't really a fan. But I have no idea how that gun would sound in real life, so you tell me down in the comments if this is more realistic than MW2. Whilst we're moving through the city, let's just touch on the quality of the visuals. They're looking really good, really gritty and realistic. They probably wouldn't even look out of place today if the game shipped next week. What new versions of the game have done is go for this super high contrast cartoony vibe in some cases, and that just doesn't tickle my wiener like this does. We head into a building and work our way through. The enemies are armoured and skilled, not the pushovers from COD 4, but similar again to MW2. We smoke some dudes in an alley, then we smoke some dudes in a store, then we smoke some dudes in the road. Yeah, basically, we're just smoking dudes all over Wall Street. We even smoked some dudes outside of Federal Hall. And this whole fighting in real and recognizable places theme is going to continue throughout the game across various locations. Most notably in this level, the stock exchange. I don't think this really adds anything in terms of making the game better in terms of gameplay, but as I've already alluded to, MW3 is all about the spectacle, so fighting in these recognizable locations definitely adds to that. When we get to the roof, we plant some thermite on that jammer. Then we smoke the whole damn tower. And the set pieces are certainly set piecing. We are so back. Last thing to do is drone strike some dudes and get into the chopper. But we're not done yet. We're only just getting started. Time to smoke some choppers with a minigun. Hoorah! And just when it looks like the chaos was subsiding, this was one bridge too far though. As the bird crashes into us and sends us down with it. We should have just quit while we were ahead. But what is Modern Warfare without our main characters surviving a helicopter crash? But oh wait, Infinity Ward changes things up. This time we don't crash, and I'm genuinely surprised. But at this point, I'm also going to put a heavy bet on that we definitely go down in a chopper later in the game. It wouldn't be a Modern Warfare game without a chopper crash. 5 out of 10. We see in the briefing for the next mission that the US's missile guidance system is back online, so they start going weapons free and bombing the cum out of New York. You get the sense here that we managed to turn the tide in a big way with that last mission. And instead of flipping back to Price and the gang as we usually do, we actually continue with the same team straight away again in the next mission. We're with the Yanks again, and we're tasked with boarding a Russian sub that is carrying a very large amount of warheads. By taking this over, they think that this will be the final nail in the coffin for the Russians, essentially saving New York. Hoorah, let's go. So once again, we're underwater sea rats. We swim through the Brooklyn Tunnel as the team muse over the aftermath of its destruction and subsequent flooding.
Damn, think anyone got out?
Another spectacle moment, but I'm totally lapping this shit up right now, so I won't complain.
Hello, how are you? I am under the water.
We have to avoid some underwater mines, which seems a bit of an odd thing for the Russians to plant there. My underwater jet thing kind of glitches out and I can't figure out why. And my team are all like,
Frost, move.
I can't. And I eventually just fail the mission. Turns out you're not meant to go over this one pipe, and if you do, you just hit an invisible wall. Even going under it, I thought I got stuck again, but it just blocks your control as the sub goes overhead. They could have done this better with one of the characters saying, "Whoa there, Sonny Jim, slow down. Come down here and turn your engine off while the sub goes overhead." Then if you don't do that and stay up high, you can just fail the mission. I feel like that's how they would have done it in previous games, and it just made it feel a bit less tight and fluid. We plant some bombs on a sub and hit the big red button. We arise out of the water with a truly insane backdrop of all-out war in New York. The sub surfaces with us and we fight our way up and into the hatches. And when we get in, we essentially just fight our way along some tight corridors with Sandman, who, rather ironically, should be called Wetman in this level, because he's wet, not sandy. What do you mean that's not the definition of irony? Anyway, yada yada yada. Shooting bad guys, and shooting bad guys. There's a lot of confusing lasers and lots of alarms and sirens are going off, which I'm finding particularly overstimulating. And now I assume they're prepping to launch a butt ton of missiles and level the East Coast as they mentioned in the briefing. So yeah, we shoot our way up to the bridge, breach the room in epic fashion, and then we have to cancel their launch and redirect the missiles at their ships. The old switcheroo.
Grid coordinates follow. Tango, Whiskey, 056628.
Coordinates confirmed. Firing on Russian fleet in 30 seconds.
Good thing Sandman knows what that means, because I don't. We hop out the sub and into a dinghy. Yeah, a dinghy. Dinghy. That's a fun word to say. Team Metal are out of here, avoiding the danger close missiles we essentially just launched onto ourselves and making sure we get all of the style points we can in doing so.
Look out! Shoot the mines!
What the hell was that? Did we just grind an aircraft carrier? Okay, bit unrealistic, but we move. And we did it. Time to kick back and watch New York burn, but in a good way, although it doesn't look like it. With that, the Russians retreat from the East Coast and it is assumed the US.
Beyond the jagged edges of war, there were still Russians who rejected Makarov's lunacy.
We hear Price next. Price has gotten more philosophical as we've progressed through the series. Whilst he certainly loses some of that gritty realism in this game, I think it does well to provide a bit more depth to his character. I mentioned in the last game, but there were times where he kind of spoke like a bit of a villain, saying some resentful thing about war and speaking more in riddles. So will we see Price progress further down this concerning avenue, or does he eventually straighten out? Stick around and find out. No time for that though. Soap is on his deathbed and the Russians are closing in to finish the job. Nikolai says that this dude called Yuri is his best man, and Price takes him to replace Soap in defending the base. Listen to this AK, by the way. What the hell have they done to the guns in this game, man? Was there anything wrong with how they sounded in the last game? Anyway, we take a break from shooting to play Doctor, and we just shank him with a syringe as hard as we can. There, sure he's going to make a full recovery. I'm no doctor, but I feel like the aggression that Yuri did that with was a bit unnecessary and potentially quite unhelpful. Someone bursts through the door and Price beats him up like a playground bully and then blams him in the face. We head out of the base. Soap needs to get airlifted by a chopper down the way, so we need to clear a path, but we're outnumbered and outgunned. We need to head down the street to get a heavy weapons cache to level the playing field against the Russians. When we get there, it turns out the heavy weapon to level the playing field is essentially what I can only describe as an armoured Wally. This is surprisingly not that much fun, and if I wanted to play Armoured Core, I would have bought Armoured Core. After we've done a substantial amount of cleaning up, Soap is loaded onto the chopper, but unfortunately the mission doesn't end there. Wally gets ended and we have to run all the way to the chopper with Yuri. We get smoked by a drone and get this cool slow-mo scene of it flying past. Yeah, spectacle. I then fall 300 light years off a cliff and into the water. Don't worry, we're absolutely fine. Just a scratch.
'Tis but a scratch. A scratch? Your arm's off. No, it isn't. Well, what's that then?
Minus 4 out of 10.
They say truth is the first casualty of war.
Okay, shut up now, Price. I get it. You're Breaking Bad. Just tell me what the next mission is. Now, the next mission takes a little McTwisty, and we're playing as Andrei Kharkov from the office of the Russian president. This mission is called Turbulence, and it takes place aboard the president's aircraft on its way to Hamburg, and it has us taking control of the president's bodyguard. The opening of the mission has the president and his daughter discussing whether or not to make peace with America. These talks were obviously driven by the recent defeat in New York at the hands of Frost and the boys. We sit in a meeting as the president starts to make his case for peace, but whoever these dudes are, they don't want to hear it. Just as they begin negotiating, gunfire is heard further down the cabin. The room is breached before we know it, and suddenly we're fighting against a bunch of dudes throughout the plane. It's literally Mile High Club from COD 4, but they made it a little bit cooler. And what makes it even cooler is, given the explosion, the plane stalls out, and we get this cool zero-G gunplay moment floating through the air. Looking at the enemies here, I was thinking how weird it was that they weren't Americans, or at least clearly Americans. Who were they, and why were they attacking the plane? Anyway, we secure the president and his daughter and try to get them to the safe room, not before this epic set piece.
Hi, it's Vince with Sham Wow. You'll be saying wow every time you use this towel.
Honestly, when I started writing this script, I kind of had in my mind that I'd speak about how the set pieces go a bit overboard, but watching the footage back, it's an absolute blockbuster. Wait, flashback to when I said we'd definitely survive a helicopter crash earlier? Surely this counts. Yeah, a plane crash. I'm counting it. We hobble out of the wreckage, and we hear the team on the radio speculating how on earth this could have happened, and we've also managed to lose the president. Not sure if he's even made it out alive. We blearily make our way out, checking the bodies, and it's not long before we're under attack again. We fight the enemy back, still unsure of who is attacking. When we eventually make it to the president, he's battered but okay. And the daughter, she's been secured elsewhere. A chopper has landed to take away the president, but as we open the door,
You know who I am?
Yes.
Then you know what I want.
You're insane.
Russia will take all of Europe, even if it must stand upon a pile of ashes. I want the launch codes, Mr. President.
Never get them.
Every man has his weakness. Find the girl.
yo, what? It was Makarov's men attacking? Maybe I should have known that. Makarov demands the launch codes. He's intent on destroying Europe, the mad cat. The president won't give them to him, so he takes him away, likely to subdue him to some cock and ball torture, but that's all we see for now. Personally, I would have liked to have a mission where we get to administer said cock and ball torture, and for that I have to deduct a couple of points from this mission. 8 out of 10. Next, we flash over to Soap and Price discussing what on earth just happened. They move on to any intel they have on Makarov, where Nikolai mentions that he's using an outfit in Sierra Leone, Africa, to move stuff across Europe. What that stuff is, we don't know, but Price wants to go and find out, because if it's important to Makarov, it's likely bad news. There's also a chance that he might be there himself. We're going on holiday again, boys. Oh, and yeah, Soap's all better now. He just had some Lensip. It was a common cold. We emerge from the water as Yuri, following Price and Soap. Price hits Soap with a trademark burn.
So, try not to die this time.
This is a pretty fun change of pace. Apart from the usual gameplay, the setting at least is fresh. Not fresh as in, it looks like it smells like a fresh round of laundry, because I can basically smell the sewage and hot trash that we're wading through my monitor. But it's a new setting that we haven't fought in before. And it's a bit like Resident Evil 5's opening level actually. It's also reminiscent of that awful favela mission in MW2, in the way that you have like a militia style enemy and we're fighting in shacks and across sheet rooftops. I hit this insane triple with a sniper while providing Overwatch for Price and Soap. Soap and Price can't find Makarov or anything useful in this shanty town, so we move further up, shooting all the unfortunate, under-equipped, likely ex-child soldiers along the way. Feels a bit mean, to be honest. The kill count, once again like the favela mission, is in my opinion unrealistically high for a small skirmish. I think I probably wiped out a whole generation in this part of Sierra Leone. The similarities between this and the favela mission don't stop there though, as we have a running sequence, and even a sequence where we get briefly separated by falling through a roof. We then up the ante by shelling the fuck out of this place. After this, I managed to trip and fucking die off of the small ledge. We make it to the church in the centre of town, and we proceed to, without any consideration for the fact that we're in a church, murder about 30 people. Then out back, there's a chopper, and as we breach through, it flies away and we lose the cargo. Oh well, on to the next.
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
And what's this? We're playing as someone called Mr. Burns for the SAS. The briefing mission shows a French satellite notifying the SAS about an intercepted message about a suspicious shipment heading for British soil. Fucking hell. Which is about a suspicious shipment heading for British soil. Oh my god, I've created a tongue twister. The next briefing shows a French satellite notifying the SAS about an intercepted message. This message was about a suspicious shipment heading for British soil. Wow, I actually nailed that.
The next briefing shows a French satellite notifying the SAS.
It looks a lot like the cargo we just lost, which is categorically bad news bears. We hear a familiar voice in Baseplate, who is actually later revealed to be Captain Macmillan from All Gillied Up in COD 4. Why did they need to do this? I don't know. They should have left his character well alone in my opinion. The SAS are sent to check it out at the port. Mind the Gap opens with us surveying the port. Baseplate is providing VO for the mission ahead. There are armed personnel ahead and we get a disturbing content warning. Well, guess this one's getting demonetized too. You know the drill if you're feeling generous. So, we're SASing through the building. Much like a stinky fart, we're silent and deadly. After securing the perimeter, all teams get the green light to go and secure the port and go loud. For some reason, I just jump straight out of the window and get creamed by an RPG. On second attempt, we avoid that and enter into a pretty hot firefight in the port, which looks like it's in the middle of flipping Canary Wharf in London. Can you just imagine Doris down the road in her flat, hopping on Facebook and posting like this? "Alright, what's all this then? This racket sounds like bloody World War III out there, LOL. We find the truck, but it's empty, and this is really, really bad news bears this time. We fight the baddies off, but they retreat into the tube. They hop on the least crowded train I've ever seen on the London Underground, and we hop in their vehicle to give chase. This is utterly bonkers, and usually this is the point where I would deduct points for COD taking it too far from being realistic again. But what you have to realise about MW3 is that the context is different. We're well into a world war at the moment. This kind of shit probably isn't really that unrealistic in a world where the two superpowers are waging war on each other. It's not normal by the context of the real world or COD 4 or MW2 either really, but the new context of MW3, it fits right in. And I can only then refer to how incredible the action scenes are. Good shit. Easy. We fight our way up the tube, shooting only the actual enemies, I promise. Okay, maybe some innocents got caught in the crossfire. I'm doing quotation marks, crossfire. I realized you can actually, apparently, get away with shooting 3 or 4 civilians in this level, which in my opinion, you should just get a game over for killing one. It doesn't really set a good example. Like, is this like real life? You killed Jeremy from HM Revenue and Customs. No sweat, the first one's free. You killed Barry, who's the general manager of the Premier Inn around the corner, on his way back after the night shift. Okay, guess it was a misinput. I then, in broad daylight, in front of a crowd and a police officer, delete Brenda, a cashier from the Tesco Express in Clapham. Dead, no issues. But as soon as I hit Gareth, who runs the local theatre company, it's game over. Knowing that my limit is 3, on respawn I cure this man of his cold and go back to saving the day. But the goofiness doesn't stop there, because as a police car hits an epic drift into the scene, our boy Walcroft gets his knees clipped, which completely discombobulates him. He must have been hit at like 30 miles per hour. He ain't ever walking again. Oh, he's fine, never mind. That surely must be a bug, but this is actually the only game out of the original trilogy I hadn't played before, so I don't have a point of reference whether it is or not. Also, look at these people. They're all sneezing and coughing and shit. They really got the accuracy of what it's like to be a commuter in London down to a T. But after all that fun, it's time for that disturbing content.
Come on, get closer. Daddy, look over here. Look at me, Daddy. She is really hyper today. Sarah, don't go too far. Birds! Look, Mommy, there's birds. That's your daughter. You know she gets that from you.
The last line, that's your daughter. You know she gets that from you, right before the explosion. Haunting, man. Being a dad myself, this really hits home. It's short, but it's impactful. What follows is a briefing of multiple chemical attacks across Europe, followed by the ground attacks from the Russians. This didn't make total sense to me, but I imagine with the president of Russia being held by Makarov, the other guys that were trying to convince him not to make a peace deal on that plane mission are calling the shots. They want to take over the world, and this is their first move. Pretty wild. In the next mission, we're in Hamburg, back with Team Metal. The vice president is there for some reason, probably eating bratwurst or something on holiday, and he needs saving. The mission opens in epic style. The Hamburg Bridge is visible in the background as a full-scale defense is being mounted by what I imagine is combined American and European forces against the Russians. What I like about this mission is how you land on the beach with vehicles and numerous other foot soldiers. Despite how modern warfare has gotten, see what I did there, it still resorts to people's lives on the line to settle it, and I think it's interesting how reminiscent the images are here of the Normandy beach landing on D-Day. The whole mission feels very World War II in fact, probably because of the setting being located in Germany, where a lot of the fighting took place back then. I'm certain they did this on purpose to show that war never really changes. This part of the mission is pretty unremarkable. The setting is again new, but the gameplay is pretty filler, so I'll summarize. We fight our way into the city, hop in a tank, go into a parking garage, melt faces, fall through the floor, get crushed by a car at terminal velocity, survive, wander out on the other side, and carry on melting faces. With a personal kill count probably in the hundreds, we find the vice president and complete the mission. No real twists or turns on this one. You'll notice whenever we play as Team Metal, at least so far, things go pretty well. Really feels like you're playing as the best dudes in the game across the whole series. The next briefing scene, we see Price get in contact with Baseplate, or Macmillan, who is now, if you haven't noticed, the director of MI6. Price is all like, yo, give me some info, bro, old buddy of mine. And obviously Price is a big bad fugitive at this moment, so Baseplate is reluctant.
You still owe me for Pripyat, and I'm calling it in.
But he does end up giving us some info on a connected bad guy called Warabe, a Somalian pirate warlord that's working with Makarov and is linked to the chemical attacks across Europe. Somalian pirates at the time were a really hot topic in the news. It was kind of a trending problem in the world and was covered a lot by the media, so I think that's why it's been put in the game. So once again, we are with Task Force 141, or what's left of it. We saddle up to attack another militia type group in a third world country, which is like the third time minimum in the series this has happened. I think they really fumbled these missions, with across the last 2 games the American missions being much better, where in COD 4 the SAS missions and story were top level. We politely turn up at Warabe's base by knocking on the front door with our car at high speed. Then it's just boring shoot shoot shoot, predator missile, Nikolai helps, blah blah blah. Anyway, we kill hundreds of minorities before we get to Robert Wasabe's mansion. Wait, Robert Wasabe? Why have I typed Wasabi? What? Robert Warabe. It's not Robert either. Why have I put Robert Wasabi? If you guys could see the script, this is the dumbest shit ever. Before we get into Warabe's mansion, we managed to catch the highlights of what looks like Hull versus QPR. Anyway, we find Mugabe in his room, probably jorking his pina with his mates or something, and promptly arrest the dude. Price sets off some gas as we put on a mask, then interrogate him. Bobbert is all like, "Oh no, I didn't know shit, man. I never met this Makarov guy." Instead, he gives us the name of Volk, not the one we're after, but a close link to the main man. Then Price does him in the name of the SAS guys that lost their lives trying to stop the attack. Epic. What follows is a chaotic battle after we obviously get ambushed at the LZ yet again. Shock. When are they going to stop using this trope? How many times has Nikolai had to go to the second LZ? It's probably my biggest pet peeve of the game. Anyway, the twist this time is that there is a sandstorm on the way, and we have to get to that LZ before it gets here. But when we arrive at the second LZ, that's too hot. Okay. Nikolai gets shot down and the storm is fully on us now. It's pretty cool from an environmental design perspective, but apart from that, it's mostly just a bit annoying. We have to go and find the crash site and save Nikolai after shooting yet another million minorities. Worst mission in the game, 0 out of 10. But don't worry, we're back to our best boys Team Metal, and this time we're in Paris. Price made contact with Sandman, as we see in the briefing, who know each other from a fan-made project live-action short film set in between COD 4 and MW2, which is apparently canon. Price asks Sandman to bring this Vault guy out alive. Paris is still covered in green farts, as we can see when we fly in, so this mission will be done with a gas mask border around the screen. There are dead civilians everywhere, and the game gives you plenty of time to take all of this in. After that, we fight through the streets of Paris, through libraries, cafes, and restaurants. And it's a shame really, as these last 3 missions have been pretty samey. I feel like the quality of this game is really geared towards the set pieces, the story moments, and new settings that we're waging war in. These are all great, but you can't rely on them all the time, as the parts in between start to feel a bit repetitive. Thing is, I'd argue that the combat in between these big moments is fine, but maybe just me as a fan, I'm getting a bit tired of it on this 3rd entry. And I would suggest this was probably the start of the end for the series, where the interest would decline and the games would have less and less of that magic we felt playing COD 4 and MW2. Even in this mission, we go into the catacombs of Paris, which is such a cool environment, but it's still the same old stuff, isn't it? Just dressed differently. It's a shame because I think the fatigue of the standard COD gameplay loop is more of a factor than the quality of the gameplay loop itself. People were just getting tired of it, and I don't think there's anything they could necessarily do different in this case. If it was the first game in the series, it might be remembered as the best. Anyway, we've come out the sewers and into the back of a truck, cruising through Paris, taking heavy fire. We're in pursuit of Volks, then we T-bone him, flip him, and then ram him. And I have no idea how he came out of this alive. Our LZ is compromised.
They have Volk in custody, but their OPSEC's been compromised.
You serious?
So the US president personally signs off on giving us any support we need to get Volks out. So Overlord sends in an AC-130. Yeah, it's a AC-130 mission again. Fuck that noise. The only redeeming feature of this mission is its ending. We rejoin Frost as we're pushing towards the Eiffel Tower. Of course we are, because this mission would be trash if not for, as I mentioned earlier, the settings and the set pieces. Now, knowing what we know now, what do you think happens next? 1. We fight through the enemy ranks, reach the LZ, and extract. 2. We reach the LZ but it's compromised, so we jump into the river and take a boat to the second LZ. 3. We fucking bomb the Eiffel Tower and watch it collapse. I'll give you some time. But if you guess number 3, you'd be right, obviously. Two out of 10. Okay, now back to Task Force 141. Sandman confirms they got info out of Volks. He's given us Makarov's location in Prague. He's meeting his top advisors in a hotel, and we're going to be there, of course. We rejoin Yuri skulking in the sewer water like a rat. We sneak under the enemy. It looks like they've assumed total control of Prague. We meet up with our old friend Kamarov, the one who saved us at the end of COD 4. He has a bunch of boys once again fighting back against the occupying force. He's just such a rebel, isn't he? I use a sniper with a red dot sight in this mission. I don't know why, to be honest. I think I was just bored. Me and Soap push through the enemy lines quickly and quietly. It's very reminiscent of that mission in COD World at War. Again, I think I get that vibe because we're in Europe again, and it's a two-man sniping, sneaking mission that we've seen before. Again, it would be a good mission if it was the first time I played this shit, but it's like the 5th sneaky two-man mission in the trilogy. It's got all the trademark moments of those previous missions, just in a new setting, and that's not enough to make it awesome again. Anyway, we meet up with Price and all of Makarov's men. They're on the rooftops, and we shock and awe the boys, weapons loud. We once again fight through the streets of insert city/country name here, and yeah, basically we get to the church and it's mission complete. Honestly, this is just trash at this point, but you can't really call it trash because of the polish and the amount of effort they've put in creating the settings. But it is just trash. It's not fun anymore. We hear Yuri's voice for the first time as Soap and Yuri talk about Makarov's arrival. Yuri seems to know a bit too much about Makarov, which Soap notices, setting up a twist at long fucking last as this game was getting incredibly boring. We're in the church opposite the hotel and, oh okay, we're just doing sniper overwatch. The vehicles arrive and all pull in. Kamarov and the boys enter the hotel in disguise, and Price is abseiling down the front of the hotel, which seems a bit unrealistic. Surely someone is watching the hotel from Makarov's side. Me and Soap take out 2 guards on the balcony, allowing Price to touch down and breach. We help him clear the room, and the elevator comes up with Kamarov strapped to a chair. Kamarov apologizes as a bomb goes off. We hear Makarov address Yuri directly on the radio by name, saying that he never should have come here, and Soap is like, "Ayo, what the fuck, bro?" But no time to dwell because Makarov has set explosives in the church too, and wastes no time in detonating them. He's one step ahead. But how? Was Yuri, or we, the player character, a spy for Makarov the whole time? The blast sends us and Soap absolutely flying, and once again, no idea how either of us survived this. Soap actually barely has. Price comes through the smoke to pull the rubble off of Soap. Soap is desperately trying to get the words out to Price that Makarov knows Yuri. We carry Soap, then Price takes over for a bit. We see that Soap is losing a lot of blood. We take point and clear the path ahead as Price and Soap are having a bit of a bonding moment, exchanging banter as we go and as he's about to die, I guess. We make it far enough that backup arrives and they shepherd us into a building. We put Soap on a table and sadly, with his last breath, he says,
Medic! Come on, stay with me, son. Price. No. Makarov knows. Oh no, 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 no! Soap! No, no, no! Soap! You have to go now! Get off me! I'm sorry.
For all this game's faults, this moment is probably one of the saddest and most iconic in the series. The music swells. Soap, our first ever character, is now dead. No time to cry though, as we see this.
Soap trusted you. I thought I could too. So why in bloody hell does Makarov know you?
I was young and patriotic when I first met Vladimir Makarov.
Money can buy many things, even power. The road to our future begins here, my friend.
Zakayev never forgot what we did for him that day. Our reward was power. But But power corrupts.
Is everything ready? Do it.
Thousands of souls extinguished by the push of a button.
Understand, Yuri? This is only the beginning.
This wasn't war. It was madness.
I know what you have done, Yuri. I know what you have told them. My friend, my ally, my betrayer. What happens here today will change the world forever. Nothing can stop this. Not even you.
I was a soldier of Russia, not a taker of innocent lives. But in his eyes, this marked me as the enemy. Okay, Yuri.
So, it's lore time. What did we just witness? At first glance, Yuri feels like another one of Price's random new allies in Modern Warfare 3, but the deeper you get into the story, the more you realise this guy's connection to Makarov runs deep, real deep. Yuri wasn't just some soldier who crossed paths with Makarov, he was part of it. He was there for some of the biggest moments that kicked off the entire Modern Warfare saga: the assassination of Zakhaev, the nuclear disaster in the Middle East, even the infamous airport massacre in Moscow. He was right alongside Makarov until he wasn't. See, Yuri didn't betray Makarov because he suddenly grew a conscience overnight. It was a slow build. He believed in the cause at first, the whole ultra-nationalist dream of a stronger Russia. But Makarov's methods, mass murder, terrorism, manipulating entire wars just to watch the world burn, that was a line Yuri couldn't stomach. The real breaking point comes right before the airport massacre. Yuri finds out what Makarov's planning and tries to stop it. He literally tries to warn the authorities, tries to sabotage it from the inside. But Makarov's not an idiot, and he sees it coming. He shoots Yuri in the parking garage and leaves him for dead before the attack even begins. That moment seals it. From that point on, Yuri's betrayal isn't just about ideology anymore, it was personal. He spent the time since then trying to make it right, trying to bring Makarov down, which interestingly now aligns him strongly with Captain Price. As we emerge from the flashback, Price understands this too and lets him live. As Price mourns Soap, Baseplate gives him a location of Makarov for the next mission. We parachute into a castle this time with just Yuri and Price. It's rainy, the atmosphere resembles something you'd find in a Return to Castle Wolfenstein game, and the gameplay more Splinter Cell. Being sighted here is a game over in this initial phase. We sneak through the entrance, planting C4 as we go, so that when we inevitably go loud and get found, as we always seem to, we can cover our escape. Price breaches a security office by himself in epic fashion, taking out 3 guards as he goes. He could probably do all of this himself. We get through the castle, cutting the lights and putting the night vision on to take out the guards. The guards eventually use flares, and we take them out the old-fashioned way. Price points out that we have about 10 minutes before they find the bodies on the bottom floor that we just left. We plant more C4 on the bridge, the only way in and out of this place. Price plants C4 also on a wall below the control center where Makarov is. When the thunder strikes, we blast the C4. I have a feeling Makarov would probably heard that despite the thunder. It's kind of like coughing and farting at the same time, and it never works. We climb up some rafters in between the wall to see Makarov interrogating Vorshevsky. Makarov, unsurprisingly, wants the nuclear launch codes. The president won't give the codes, so instead they decide they'll capture his daughter, who's been located in Berlin. The guards find the bodies. Price launches a frag in as we fall down the void about 30 floors. Somehow we survive and land in the kitchen, and then just flip and shoot everyone, including a chicken in a cage, because if it's got a pulse, it's a threat. It's now officially weapons loud as we fight our way out of the castle. We push outside, fighting through heavy resistance. After clearing an office and moving into a courtyard, they reach a platform overlooking the bridge. We detonate the C4 we planted earlier, dropping the armor into the river below. We drop down and fight our way through yet another courtyard, with more armor blocking our exit. we steal a jeep and blast out of the castle. We absorb about 90,000 bullets and Price tactically sends us off a cliff, but we've got parachutes so we're all good, baby. Back to Team Metal, baby, and we're in the world's most sexually active city, Berlin. Time to save the Russian president's daughter, and maybe, if we're lucky, we might get a kiss on the cheek at the end. Spoiler alert, we don't. We rejoin the boys, flying over Berlin. 2 teams are being sent in to save the president's daughter. Us, Team Metal, and the other, Team Granite. We have to fight our way through a building to a vantage point and clear the opposite roof where the president's daughter is located. We watch Team Granite land in, and you just know something's going to go wrong, don't you? Anyway, for now, we just do our job, calling air support on the tanks below and sniping foot soldiers. It's pretty fun, but just feels like you're shooting fish in a barrel, really. Then we watch Granite breach, and they just get blown up pretty unceremoniously. Well, our turn. There's a moment where we pass by a downed chopper full of dead Delta Force teammates, and Truck makes sure to get their tags and recover their bodies, which I think is a nice detail to further characterize Team Metal as good dudes. We can then hear the most German dude ever say this, which made me laugh. We fight our way to the hotel, but as we get near, a bomb goes off at the base of another building and completely collapses in front of us. Someone at this point in the game was like, yeah, we still haven't had enough big set pieces. Blow that building up over there and then make them walk through it. Yeah, that'll do. When we get out the other side, we're at the hotel. Makarov's men are trying to extract the president's daughter from the 3rd floor, so we gotta run and gun our way there. And when we do get there, oh, don't worry, yeah, that's just a scratch. I can take explosions to the face all the time. But the Russians have made off with the president's daughter in a hind as we can hear her screaming. At this point, it looks like we're getting the bad ending. But for the last mission, Team Metal is going to join up with Task Force 141. We're going in all or nothing to get the president and his daughter out. You might notice something absolutely infuriating here. Frost, the guy who we've played as the whole campaign, is not even in this mission. And it's not even explained why. No one even talks about his absence. You don't hear Sandman say, oh, Frost's sick or something like that, he's having a day off. I mean, imagine you played as this dude, come to know and love Team Metal, and then they just decided to exclude him from this trip. That's just really mean and totally not fair on our boy Frost. What it actually is just lazy writing. If you're going to get rid of him, you can't just pretend he never existed on the last mission. It's the opposite of absolute cinema. It's absolute iPhone video. This mission is set in a mining bunker in Siberia and makes me feel all chilly when I'm playing it. It starts out with us all surviving an elevator crash, which again is unrealistic as we freefall quite away. It's actually quite dark in this hole that we find ourselves in, so we flick on the night vision initially to fight our way through the mining caverns. This mission is very reminiscent of the end of COD 4. You've got Task Force 141 and the Americans teamed up again, going ham on an enemy base, as someone is threatening or actively launching nukes to end the world. You know the series has gone too far when it's just reusing the same old levels and repackaging the same old plot points. Don't get me wrong, it's fun, but I can't help but feel like if they remade it, they could probably do it all in 1 or 2 games max, unless they innovate the mission and the gameplay styles to make it feel more varied. Oh wait, they did do a remake, didn't they? Oh, it's 3 games again? Were they at least good? For fuck's sake, that's rubbish. They just made the same mistake all over again, didn't they? I can't wait to see the remake of the remake trilogy again in 10 years. Maybe they'll make it better then. Anyway, we secure the president's daughter, but we didn't get a kiss on the cheek. Next up, big man Borshevsky, and we see him getting moved across the bridge, so we can't be far away. We rappel down the mine in sexy fashion and start melting faces again. Up ahead, they lock the president in a secure room that we can't breach. So Price comes up with this super sexy, slick idea to blow the roof and drop in on them using the concrete slab like a fucking surfboard. First attempt, I end up fatally blamming the president. Second time, I do the exact same thing. Third time, lucky baby, we have officially saved the day. Time to escape. But I have one incredibly annoying nitpick here. Naturally, after saving the president, you'd probably think this is a good time for a checkpoint. Wrong. If you die in this pretty intense and hard gunfight, or the president dies, then you have to do this annoying ass breach sequence all over again. I do this multiple times and it's a shitty way to finish off the game. When we finally extract, we get shot. Price drags us onto the chopper and Team Metal stand in front of us, defending us until the very end. They're getting well overrun, taking bullets left, right and center, running out of ammo, switching to their secondaries in a last stand. Sandman says to go on without them and Price doesn't want to, but unfortunately the chopper is already on its way out. The facility is imploding as we escape marginally. Price is still calling for Sandman on the radio, and this moment actually makes me feel pretty sorry for Price. He's lost a lot of mates this game, And as for Team Metal, it's such a heroic way to go. In a decision they make unanimously, they all sacrifice themselves to ensure the president escapes, effectively ending the war. Sad to see them go, but I'm glad that they did from a narrative perspective, because it's a fitting end for the heroes of the game. As for Frost, who the fuck knows, such a poor choice from the writers. A good ending to an okay game. We see news reports and cinematics of the aftermath of the war that affected the world, and Price signs off with an iconic quote.
How quickly they forget that all it takes to change the course of history is the will of a single man.
But wait, we still haven't killed Makarov. We had 2 perfectly good missions where they could have killed him off, but no. Price isn't done yet, and neither is Yuri. It's time. Makarov is living it up in Dubai, like most Russian criminals, in a straight-up copy of the Burj Al Arab. They don't mention Dubai or name anything in the game, but this is obviously exactly where they are. It's kind of like in Pro Evolution Soccer when they didn't have the licenses to the players' names, so they'd call Ronaldo like Ronald or something. Anyway, we hop out the van as Price says. This one's for soap. We're in Juggernaut suits, which is the first time they've been used by us in the campaign, and by anyone for that matter. We've got some big LMGs, and we're just going ham on hundreds of people. This time we're playing as Price, which we've only done once, maybe twice in the series. The music is self-awarely epic, fun, and a little bombastic. We hear Makarov is in the atrium up ahead, but we move like turtles in these things, the payoff for being a brick shithouse homunculus of armor that can absorb impacts better than your mum. We get in a lift and start open firing out the window on a chopper. This goes well, then not so well as it crashes into us. This damages the elevator and also burns the Juggernaut armor, and we have to take it off. Then we have to leap to the opposite lift to continue our journey. Makarov's chopper is on the roof and he's trying to escape. Not on my watch, I'm spraying bullets indiscriminately. If it moves, it's dead. Sorry. Me and Yuri are almost at the top as we see him ahead. He's right there. The primary antagonist of the past 2 games is finally in sight. Not before we almost just slip off the building like a goofball. Yuri manages to get himself impaled too, and I don't even hesitate to leave him behind, which I think you're meant to feel bad or something. Anyway, I run to the roof and jump onto Makarov's chopper like the insane man that I am. I am so epic. I said, I run and board the chopper, dispatching the pilots. Thank God no one decided to shoot me as I was running or jumping. That would have been embarrassing. We wake up to see our own reflection in the glass roof looking back at us. As Makarov stumbles from the chopper, he picks up the gun and is about to execute us as Yuri blasts in to save the day. But he completely fumbles it. Now that is just embarrassing. Price uses the distraction though to start beating the living cum out of Makarov, wrapping a wire around his neck and WWE slamming him through the glass roof, hanging Makarov in the process. We lie on the floor, the last one alive of all of our friends, but we finally did it. We killed the bad guy. Price lights up a stoogie, and in the same way that we were introduced to him in COD 4, we get to say goodbye to him. This ending is pretty fucking cool, and is a fun way to go out, even if it's tonally quite wacky. And yeah, that wraps up the trilogy. And overall, you've got to say the world is a better place to have these games. Whilst they can get repetitive and samey in the gameplay, they were all made with a lot of love. The story for an action shooter is above all else in the genre for me. It's understandable, relatable, there's twists, and it's semi-realistic for the most part. It pulls on your heartstrings and often has you mourning over characters you've developed a bond with. I will look back on this series with a lot of love, and I've had so much fun replaying these games in 2025. I would recommend it to anyone that's unsure whether to play them or not. The gameplay is definitely from simpler times, but sometimes simple is better. MW3 as a game unfortunately comes last in the trilogy and has the player suffering from fatigue from playing the same shit over and over again with a different skin. However, in isolation, I would sign off by saying I think it's actually really underrated. It's only when it's put last in the playlist that it falters. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching. If you did, please drop a like, comment I have ass disease down below, and subscribe for more fun retrospectives. This is your boy Bag signing out. Love y'all. Bye 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 bye.